Cooper, an Air Force pilot, is flying through the air when, all of a sudden, his plane loses power. He wakes up from his dream and talks with his daughter, Murph, about ghosts. Murph asks if he had another dream about the plane crash, but Cooper does not want to talk about it. Donald, Cooper's father-in-law, calls the kids for breakfast. Tom, Cooper's son, makes fun of Murph for claiming that a ghost broke Cooper's miniature lander. Cooper tells Murph that ghosts aren't real and challenges her to give strong proof. The adults walk outside to talk about the spreading disease named blight that is destroying farms. Cooper and the children leave home, and on their way to school, one of their tires blows out. Cooper asks Tom to fix the tire while he talks with Murph. As a military drone flies over them, Cooper pushes the kids inside the car, and despite having a flat tire, they follow the drone as it moves through the cornfields. Tom drives while Cooper searches for his equipment. Cooper is focused on trying to grab the drone and is unaware that they are hanging on the edge of a cliff. Cooper successfully hacks the drone, and with Murph's help, he lands it. Cooper wants to give the drone greater use since there is no military for it to serve. When they go to school, Tom goes to class, leaving Murph in the car. Cooper goes to a parent-teacher meeting where the principal mentions Tom's future as a great farmer. However, Cooper wants Tom to go to college and says that since there is no military anymore, taxpayer funds should be used to support the university. However, the country requires more farmers instead of more college graduates in order to fight the famine worldwide. Murph's teacher then expresses concern about her interest in the moon landing. Murph shouldn't pay attention to such things because the moon landing is now considered fake. The teacher claims that so-called society's inventions are pointless, but Cooper argues by claiming that his wife would still be alive if inventions like the MRI were still being invented. The teacher apologizes and requests Cooper's assistance regarding Murph's behavior. Cooper says that he'll take her to a baseball game to handle the situation. When Cooper gets back to the car, he tells Murph she has been suspended. They return to the farm where the tractors are out of control. They discover books scattered over the floor in Murph's room. Murph says that the ghost is using Morse code to communicate, but Cooper doesn't believe. Later on that day, Cooper fixes the tractors, although it is still unclear why they malfunctioned. Donald likes the world's current peaceful situation, but he is concerned about Cooper's constant dream to space travel. At the baseball game, Tom promises to look after the farm in future. Suddenly, people inside are alerted by the sound of sirens to the sandstorm. Nobody seems too alarmed and they all leave in a casual way. The family drives back to their house. Murph sees she left the window open and Cooper and she run up to close it. As the dust settles, Cooper notices the odd pattern on the floor. Following morning, Murph finds her father in her room. Cooper throws a penny, which quickly lands on the floor. He smiles and says that gravity was always the ghost in Murph's room. Cooper realizes that the sand is communicating in binary. Both then take out a map and mark the locations provided by the sand. Cooper gets ready to go there, but refuses Murph to go with him. However, Murph gets in by hiding under the blanket, forcing Cooper to let her along. As night arrives, Cooper carefully passes unknown area. He gets out of the car to open the gate blocking their way. A torch turns on and a voice threatens Cooper before tasing him. Cooper wakes up inside the area and is interrogated by the tactical robot TARS. Dr. Amelia Brand enters the room and introduces herself to Cooper. Amelia takes Cooper to a conference room where his daughter is talking with the elderly crowd. He meets Professor Brand there. Cooper gives a hazy explanation that how they discovered the secret outpost, but Murph reveals that gravity led them there. Cooper doesn't disclose unless their safety is guaranteed. They laugh at him and reveal that they are NASA. A team of engineers is working on a rocket behind the walls. Professor Brand explains that the society does not support funding for space exploration because of famine, but now they focused on finding a solution to the food shortage. The blight disease affects several crops every year. They no longer grow wheat or potatoes, and they expect corn will be the next crop that will fall. Professor Brand believes that blight consumes the oxygen on Earth and that Murph's generation will be the last to survive. NASA does not have a plan to save the world. However, they plan to leave it. Professor Brand then introduces Project Endurance, the last of the Lazarus missions. The Lazarus missions are the planet's final search for a habitable planet. After some convincing, Cooper finally accepts to serve as Project Endurance's pilot for humanity and especially for his children. Cooper receives his mission-related briefing in the conference room. NASA has found a wormhole that connects to another galaxy and is located close to Saturn. Moreover, they believe that some omnibenevolent beings created the wormhole to benefit humans. NASA sent 12 people to each of the planets 10 years ago. There are just 3 who have communicated the possibility of their planet having life. life. There is a plan and a plan B for the mission. Plan A is to make the entire facility into a spacecraft that will use gravity to launch itself and the remaining humans into space. The process is just in theory, though. Professor Brand has not yet put it into practice. Plan B will transfer tens of thousands of fertilized eggs to start a colony on the new planet. Professor Brand promises Cooper that Plan A will be functioning by the time he returns. Cooper's soul gets touched by his words, and Cooper then regains his entire faith in him. Cooper goes to talk to Murph at home, where she is upset by the news that her father is leaving. Later that evening, Donald confronts Cooper about his dream of space travel becoming a reality. The mission, according to Cooper, represents humanity's last chance. They need to leave the planet since it has been slowly killing them. The next morning, Cooper comforts Murph. He tells her that he is doing this for her and Tom. Murph tries to stop him by telling him about the ghost's message, which is the word stay. Cooper ignores her and gives her a tight hug. He gives her a watch and explains that time moves more slowly in space than on Earth, and that they might be the same age when he comes back. However, she throws it out of anger. Cooper bids her farewell and promises to return. Cooper hugs his son outside and gives him the truck and all his duties. He checks under the blanket in the car to make sure Murph isn't there. When he leaves, Murph rushes to catch him, but it gets too late. Tears stream down his cheeks as the countdown begins, as if it were counting for him. The rocket takes off with Cooper's team and TARS. Cooper and Amelia had fun bantering while in space. As they get closer to the Endurance space station, Doyle locks the hatch, successfully docking the spacecraft. The team enters the station and powers up the controls and activates Case, another tactical robot. The boosters turn on and the space station begins rotating. Another crew member, Romilly, feels sick. Amelia gives him some medication. On the screen, Professor Brand appears and wishes them luck on their 2-year journey to Saturn. The station continues moving towards the dark space. Cooper looks out the window and finds Earth now miles away. Romilly enters his room and prepares for deep sleep. Amelia and Cooper discusses that they may meet 3 astronauts DRS, Mann, Miller, and Edmonds. She gives Dr. Mann high praise for motivating the others to join him on this dangerous journey. Amelia enters her chamber and Cooper uses this opportunity to speak privately with TARS. He asks the robot about Amelia and Dr. Edmonds' romantic relationship. TARS avoids answering the question and says that it is programmed not to reveal sensitive information. Cooper sits in front of the video recorder and says goodbyes to his children before going for his deep sleep. Back on Earth, Professor Brand visits Cooper's family. He shows them Copper's video message, but Murph doesn't take interest. Brand asks Donald about mentoring Murph. Years go by, and a faint shine is seen traveling close to Saturn. Cooper is awake and is watching his family's video messages. He sits next to Romilly, who appears paranoid about their situation. Cooper comforts him and gives him his earbuds. Doyle and Cooper look at the pictures captured by the probes that went through the wormhole. Over the radio, Amelia informs the crew that they will reach the wormhole in a few hours. The crew nervously sits in their spacesuits with the fate of humanity on their shoulders. As they travel through the wormhole, the ship's integrity merely keeps up with the immense speeds. Amelia notices a distortion in space on her side that seems to be an arm reaching out. She thinks it is an omnibenevolent being and reaches out, but then everything goes silent. The ship stabilizes and they float smoothly once again. The crew gathers for a meeting. They choose which planet to travel to. Dr. Edmonds has lost communication to the crew, leaving them with 2 options. One option is a planet which is near to Gargantua, which is a black hole. 1 hour on this planet is equivalent to 7 years on Earth. Using this knowledge, Doyle and Cooper argue. Doyle wants to execute Plan B and let everyone die on Earth. Cooper suggests a solution that works. The ship will travel to the other side of Gargantua so that their time won't be affected when they land. The team agrees to this plan. After some preparations, Case joins the crew on their mission to the planet, while Romilly stays behind. As they get closer to the planet's surface, they experience heavy turbulence. As the team gets ready to land, they cross through the clouds and meet a large ocean. Cooper expertly controls the craft, stopping the ship precisely before it hits the water. Doyle and Amelia walk down into the shallow waters as time is running short. Case finds debris from Dr. Miller's beacon. They search for the remaining pieces of the debris while moving towards the mountains. Inside the ship, Cooper sees that the mountains are waves. Fortunately, the waves are moving away from them, but unexpectedly, another comes up behind it. Amelia keeps looking for Dr. Miller's data despite the scary water wall. She finds it, but when she tries to take it out, she falls. Case transforms into a wheel and rushes towards her. It carries her to the ship. Cooper closes the hatch but just as Doyle is about to enter, the rough waves take take him away. When the wave hits the ship, the interior gets flooded. They are flung around inside while surfing the wave. Despite the ship being damaged, they survive the rough seas. Cooper screams at Amelia for refusing to come back when he asked her to. They have been present on planet for almost an hour, not only losing Doyle, but they also lost decades worth of time. Due to the time difference, Amelia thinks that Dr. Miller just arrived on the planet a few hours ago, which indicates why some of the wreckage was still intact. When Cooper realizes that his daughter is now an adult, their hopelessness increases. They can't take a break since another wave is ready to crash on them. They succeed in their last-ditch efforts to restart the engine, and they take off for safety. A much older Romilly welcomes them back to the ship. The two are shocked to hear that they have been gone for more than 23 years. Romilly tells them that even after learning everything about black holes, he couldn't send his research to Earth. In the meantime, Cooper watches videos of over 23 years. In a series of videos, Cooper cries as his timid young kid turns into a husband, a father, and a parent who lost a child. Murph had become distant and Donald had passed away. Tom says Cooper goodbye as he realizes that he won't be coming back. The screen goes black and Murph reappears and starts cursing her father. It's Murph's birthday and she is now of Cooper's age. She asks him to come back as she ends her message. Murph wipes away her tears as she sees Professor Brand by the door on a wheelchair. He is surprised to see Murph sending her first message. They go to his office to work together on the unsolved theory. Murph stares at the board and realizes that they are looking at the all-wrong equation. Professor Brand is aware of this, and Murph doesn't understand why he doesn't change it. Back in the ship, they discuss about going to Dr. Mann's planet, or Edmunds, who has stopped transmitting a while back. Amelia thinks that the latter is a better option because it is further away from the black hole. Cooper argues that Dr. Mann, who is still sending transmissions to them, is the obvious choice. Before they begin voting, Cooper tells Romilly about Amelia's bias for Edmund's planet because they are involved in a relationship. Amelia doesn't deny it. She even pushes the idea that their love is enough reason for them to choose Edmund. Her heartfelt speech has no impact on the two, and they set course for Dr. Mann's planet. On Earth, Tom achieved his dream of being a farmer. He burns a row of crops to prevent the blight from spreading further. Murph visits Tom and his wife Lois. Coop, Tom's second son, suffers from respiratory issues as a result of the severe dust storms and the planet's changing climate. In the meantime, Amelia keeps a grudge against Cooper. She claims that if Dr. Mann's planet is not suitable, they will either have to go back or continue Plan B on Edmund's planet at the cost of billions of lives on Earth. Murph rushes to the hospital to see Professor Brand there. She promises him that she will finish what he started. Brand confesses to Murph in his last words that Project Endurance wasn't planned to return, and that plan and all the theories are all lies. Brand dies, leaving Murph frustrated and angry. Murph sends a video message with this news. She accuses Amelia for knowing her father's lies. On the horizon, a spacecraft is getting ready to land on Dr. Mann's planet. The crew finds a base in the snow-covered mountains. When they open the rundown living area, they find Dr. Mann in a deep sleep. Upon wake him up, he bursts into tears at the sight of another human. Mann discusses his discoveries related to the planet. They have reached a point where there is no more air to breathe. However, the planet does have a lower surface where hopefully life may start. He believes that alien life forms are already on this planet and are yet to be seen. Tars asks Amelia to watch the video message, and as she does, Murph's voice fills the room as she tells the truth. The idea of her father leaving them to die makes Murph cry. Cooper is shocked by the unexpected news. Amelia swears that she has no idea what Murph is talking about. Mann jumps in and claims that Professor Brand solved the theory even before astronauts left, but proving the theory is not enough. To put it to use in a practical way, they need to know what's inside the black hole. Unfortunately, nature doesn't allow it. Mann justifies Professor's plan by arguing that it is necessary to sacrifice the lives of the billions of people on Earth in order to save the human race. Cooper denies it as he is planning to go back to Earth. Back on Earth, Murph tells her colleague Getty about the professor's lies. Getty insists that society has a right to know what will happen to them, but Murph doesn't want to. She hasn't given up on Plan A, as she still believes there's a way out. She remembers the ghost in her room and decides to go back and finally decode the ghost's messages. While Getty checks on the worsening situation of Tom's family, Murph visits her old room. Getty berated him for not leaving their home, and Tom punches him. Murph provokes him by asking if he intends to wait until his next child dies before he moves out. Tom threatens them to leave. As they travel, Murph goes into the cornfields. She takes a petrol tank and starts dousing the crops with it, lighting it, and starts to drive away. Tom gets alerted by the fires and he leaves his house to help with the emergency. Taking advantage of the chance, Murph and Getty rescue Tom's family and to return to her room. On the alien planet, Cooper gets ready to return to Earth. Romilly suggests to throw TARS into the black hole so he can get information about what's inside. Although TARS is a robot, it shows humanity by accepting the challenge. Dr. Mann gets ready to build the components for the lab and habitat being sent down from Endurance. Cooper goes with Mann to investigate potential locations for the modules. Cooper and Mann talk about how the survival of humanity allow them to push themselves beyond their limits, and as a father that instincts increases because of his children, and discusses his discoveries related to the planet. They have reached a point where there is no more air to breathe. However, the planet does have a lower surface where hopefully life may start. He believes that alien life forms are already on this planet and are yet to be seen. Their conversation gets stranger by the second, and they find themselves standing at the edge of an abyss. Suddenly, Mann takes off his transmission device and knocks Cooper off. Mann tries to kick his hands, but Cooper takes Mann down with him. Mann says he can't let Cooper leave with the ship. He confesses that he faked his data and that this planet doesn't have life on it. He chose to save his life, endangering the mission in the process. They both fake, and when Cooper gets the upper hand, Mann headbutts his helmet, exposing Cooper to the poisonous air and causing him to suffocate. He looks back at Cooper trying to feel sorry for him. Cooper crawls to a transmission device and shouts for Amelia. Amelia and Case rush towards Cooper. They arrive well on time and Amelia rushes to help him. As they get on the ship, Cooper exposes Mann's lies. Meanwhile, Romilly starts modifying TARS. While examining Dr. Mann's tactical robot's data, he notices something is wrong. On the radio, he hears Amelia calling, but then an explosion occurs. Dr. Mann is in the distance and is surprised by what happened. He turns on his comms and hears Cooper and Amelia alive. Cooper and Amelia observe the explosion, and TARS arrives within the flames. TARS enters the ship and breaks the news of Romilly's death. Dr. Mann enters the ship at the same time, planning to leave the crew. Cooper tries to talk to him, but he doesn't respond. Case informs the crew that the auto-docking system on board the ship has been disabled. It will be a miracle if Dr. Mann to successfully board Endurance. Mann reaches the space station and plans to manually dock the ship. The ship erratically circles around the hatch and Mann fails to align it correctly. Despite the loud alarms, he still plans to open the hatch. The crew and Cooper approach Endurance. He warns Mann not to open the hatch as it may cause airlock's explosion. Amelia warns him again via the ship's broadcast system. Mann justifies his actions, saying that he's doing this for humanity. As soon as he opens the hatch, the airlock blows up. The team watches the explosion from a distance and debris approaches them. Cooper takes control of the ship. He wants to chase Endurance and dock at extreme speeds. Case says it seems impossible, but he insists that it's necessary. They are below the docking area as Endurance nears the planet's stratosphere. TARS opens the hatch and they are aligned exactly. The ship starts rotating with Endurance. They experience strong G-force resulting Amelia to blackout. Cooper clings to the steering wheel for his life and TARS locks in successfully. They stop the rotation and push Endurance out of the stratosphere. When the station stabilizes, they get happy. However, their joy is short-lived when Case announces them they are going to Gargantua. They pass through the damaged corridors of the ship. In the generator room, Amelia tells that there is power and that the system is stable. Cooper declares that the navigation systems is destroyed. Although they can't get back to Earth, they might get to Edmund's planet. Cooper intends to use Gargantua as a giant slingshot to propel them to Edmund. They get ready by using last components of Endurance. They would need to lose as much weight as they can, including TARS. Amelia doesn't like this idea, but TARS insists that saving humanity is its only goal. Endurance is in Gargantua's orbit. They reach their top speed and start to leave. Each engine starts up one by one. TARS gets detached and says goodbyes. Amelia panics hearing Case starting to eject Cooper's section, as there aren't enough resources for both of them. Cooper detaches, sacrificing his life. He moves closer to the black hole's center. Amelia cries as she hears Cooper's last words. Cooper's ship is completely shrouded in darkness. He calls out for TARS. There are a few light flashes now, and the turbulence is getting worse. The light hits it like raindrops. The exterior of the ship starts to burn up. Cooper yells and becomes unconscious. He is awakened by the computer, telling him to eject. He takes off into the darkness, shivering under the pressure and cold. He falls into an infinite room and grabs hold of one of the walls. He observes that the wall is made up of books. He attempts to see on the other side and notices a room. He bangs on the shelves and a little Murph notices the books that have fallen from the shelves and miniature lander. Cooper calls out Murph Murph, but she can't hear him. He turns to find that each wall represents a different event from Murph's past. When he sees his younger self getting ready to leave, he swears at him and begs him to stay. Cooper realizes that he can use Morse code to communicate. He starts pushing the books to form the word stay. In the meantime, present Murph starts to gather the books. She gets emotional as she finds the note she penned in a notepad when she was young. Present Murph realizes that the ghost was her father. Tars is still alive and calls out for Cooper. He says that they are in a dimension where time is a physical plane that is created by omnibenevolent beings. Cooper realizes that he can communicate with Murph since gravity travels through time. Murph realizes the same thing in the present and counts on her father to convey her message. Cooper requests Tars for the binary coordinates of NASA. He sends it back to himself in the form of sand. Cooper laughs when he realizes that omnibenevolent beings chose Morph to save humanity. He travels through the corridors, following his love for Murph. He believes he can use the watch to tell Murph about the quantum data she needs to make Plana work. When Murph takes the watch, she notices the second's arm ticking in Morse code. She rushes outside and hugs Tom, telling him that their father returned to save them. In Brand's office, she figures out how to carry out Plana. Murph invents her calculations with excitement and kisses Getty. As the omnibenevolent beings start to seal the dimension they're in, Tars tells Cooper that their strategy has become successful. Cooper reveals that the creatures are humans who lived long after them and have evolved into something that is unimaginable. Cooper gets blind by the intense light and sees Amelia reaching out her hand to him. His arm was the distortion she had seen earlier. Cooper wakes up in a hospital room. The doctor explains that they are in Cooper Station, close to Saturn. As he looks out and sees the twisted universe, he expresses gratitude that they named it after him, and the nurse laughs. It is named after his daughter, who is on her way to see him. He tours the station and observes how far humans have come. They end up in his house, which serves as a sort of museum for Cooper's life. Later that day, he fixes Tars after seeing him. Cooper walks inside a room to find his descendants and an elderly Murph. She is happy to see her father return. She then requests that he go and look for Amelia. It's just Amelia and Case on a different planet. Meanwhile, Cooper and Tars set out on a journey to find them. Humans are omnibenevolent beings. They are able to enter a multidimensional plane after many generations of evolution and invention. As a result, they were able to construct the three-dimensional plane to which Cooper was taken when he entered the black hole. He gave Murph the quantum data there, and she used it to execute Plana. The Cooper Station is one of the stations that NASA was able to build after leaving Earth and dispersing around the galaxy. The black hole spat him out near Saturn years later due to the slower time he experienced when he was slingshotted in Gargantuan. When Cooper meets an older Murph, she asks him to find Amelia. Amelia has just landed on Edmund's planet due to time relativity, believing that she is humanity's only hope, but she doesn't know that humanity has sent Cooper to look for her. Subscribe to watch more movie recaps like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next plot. Goodbye.